Former Trump Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette is with me now this Monday morning. Dan, we're already producing over 13 million barrels of oil a day. That's more than ever before. If Trump takes the shackles off, how much oil could we produce?
Well, Stuart, it's great to be with you. You know, I think we can produce a lot more than we are today. The exact number is hard to know because we have to figure out how much reserves we have, which we know we have more than we had, say, 10 or 20 years ago. But Stuart, importantly, it's not just how much we produce, it's how costly that production is. And what's happened over the last 4 to 5 years is that we've made the production here in America more expensive than it needs to be. So I think what we can expect from Chris Wright, from Doug Burgum, from Lee Zeldin, phenomenal choices to be cabinet secretaries, is a deregulatory effort which will reduce the cost of that production here in the United States. And that'll inure to the benefit of consumers here as well as around the world.
But the president-elect wants to cut the price of oil in half. Would people still drill for oil if it was just like $35 a barrel?
Well, the cost of production is probably higher than $35 a barrel, Stuart, so we'll have to watch that. But the bottom line is this. We need to open up the markets around the world. So things like this LNG pause that the Biden administration imposed on the natural gas industry must go away, and I think you will see it go away very quickly. It's not only the markets here in the United States that we're concerned about and the job creations that, that occurs here. It's the ability to make that product available to our allies in Europe, our allies in Asia, and developing countries in the global south. That's really where the future growth is going to come from. And I think it's exciting to see what Lee Zeldin and what Doug Burgum and obviously Chris Wright are going to do.
Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, she says Trump would be committing, her words, political malpractice by reversing Biden's green energy projects. Do you see it that way?
Well, I think the American people just said that it might be malpractice to use $27 billion of their money to spend on what are, in fact, somewhat dubious environmental groups. That's the real malpractice here, Stuart, is the distortion of the marketplace that's occurred in the last 4 years. So I think what we'll see is the American people imposing their will on Congress, and you'll start to see Congress take a hard look at some of the bills and some of the spending that's been approved over the last, call it 3 years.
You remember that the green energy investor, he's a billionaire, is Tom Steyer. He's not worried about Trump's win. He says Trump will not hold back the green energy transition. Honestly, Dan, it seems to me like this transition is falling to pieces. What say you?
Well, the real transition here, Stuart, is from low energy to high energy, and that's what we should be focused on. I think what's happened, under the Trump administration, if you look back, the emissions reductions that were achieved throughout that 4-year period were phenomenal. We actually reduced emissions by roughly 14% from energy sources at that point in time, while the economy grew roughly 17%. So that's the type of transition that you'll continue to see. It's the replacement of heavier hydrocarbons with lighter hydrocarbons. That's why natural gas is so important to this so-called transition. I think those are the types of innovations, those are the types of activities we're going to see more of over the course of the next 4 years.
Can we expect to see permitting for nuclear plants speed up?
Yes, I think we can. Congress took an important act, a step forward, I should say, just a few months ago with the ADVANCE Act. We need more of that. I think the technologies that are about to come online with small modular reactors, with some of the safe, accident-tolerant, non-proliferant nuclear fuels that are being developed for these small modular reactors is going to continue. And we're starting to see more and more investment in that area, which of course is going to produce firm baseload power for electricity, which means it's going to be on 24/7.
Yeah, those small modular nuclear reactors are very important. That's my opinion. Dan, thanks for joining us this morning. Come on back soon. You've got a lot to say. Thank you very much, Dan.